My name's DDupriest, and today I will be giving you a presentation on unions and collective bargaining and why they are important. At the end of this presentation, you should be able to effectively define labor union and know what they do, define collective bargaining, identify the labor relations process, know how to unionize and deunionize your company, and know the importance of unions and collective bargaining in the workplace. Labor unions were originally created to look after employees and their rights. They have a vital part to play in certain workplaces, but not all of them need a union. When people decide to unionize, it's because they desperately need a change, and it could be from unfair work practices or low wages or unsafe work conditions. And collective bargaining is the process that a union uses to negotiate a labor contract. A labor union is an organized association that intends to further or protect worker rights and interests. And there are many different unions for different types of jobs or different industries, and they serve different purposes. Collective bargaining is the negotiation between employees and union representatives and management to negotiate topics such as wages, benefits, work conditions, and other work issues in the workplace. The labor relations process is when managers of a company and selected union representatives get together to bargain. And the labor relations process is also broken down into three phases. The first, recognition of employee rights. Then, negotiation of the labor agreement. And finally, administration of the labor agreement. There are many reasons that employees would want to organize under a union. Some of these, not an exhaustive list, are social pressure from other employees. Sometimes companies can write an employment contract that you have to be in the union. Also, unfair labor practices and poor treatment, pay and benefits, poor management, or job improvement are all valid reasons. If you research unions, you will find no shortage of employers and managers that oppose unions because it could affect how they deal with business proceedings, such as losing control of how they deal with their employees. Their profits could decline. Generally, companies prefer the at-will employment, so if they want to terminate an employee, there's no backlash from that. It also affects salary and pay for performance and inhibits cost reduction measures in some cases. Since the late 1940s, union representation has been on a steady decline. In 1945, approximately 36% of the workforce had union membership. Since then, the workforce has rapidly expanded to 131 million workers approximately, and only 11.1% as of 2014 are currently under union membership. There are a variety of reasons for the declining unionization, some of which most notably are the introduction of the Taft-Hartley Act of 1947, but also because unions themselves has caused some of the decline by corruption, strikes, the image that they have created, and a lack of support from workers and companies. The Taft-Hartley Act of 1947 was a major blow to unions. It allowed prohibition of union shop contract, which allowed non-union members to access benefits of the union without paying dues. It made a closed shop unlawful. It prohibited secondary boycotts by unions. It also prohibited strikes by any federal employee, and it allowed the president to nullify strikes for national security. In order to become unionized, you need to be educated about unions and what they do and your rights as a worker. Then you need to decide which type of union best fits you. And then you need to contact that union and inform them of what your goals will be for representation. And then you need to prepare for an overwhelming opposition from the employer in most cases. The 5 steps to becoming unionized are that you need to discuss the decision and benefits with fellow employees, and you have to rally support because it will not be possible without a majority support. Then you would need to form an organizing committee where you have people that support and direct the initiative, because you have to have direction in order to know where you're going and what your goals are. Then you have to contact the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, and show your support for unionization. Then they'll have an NLRB sponsored election. Then you can negotiate for a collective contract. There are a few different ways to de-unionize your company if you decide that the union no longer serves the greater good. One of which would be contacting the NLRB and have a 30% employee vote on a petition for the NLRB to conduct an employee ballot. Then on the employee ballot, you need majority support. Or the company you work for can withdraw recognition of an employment contract, and that requires a majority vote of 51% or 50% plus one employee. Collective bargaining is when the management of a company and union representatives try to negotiate an employment contract. Most oftentimes, the union officials will over-negotiate to get somewhere close to what they want, because normally neither the employers nor the union representatives get everything they want, but they try to reach a middle ground that benefits both the employers and the workers. The topics that unions usually negotiate are pay, benefits, and leave, fair and equal treatment, and they oftentimes fight to protect and free workers from things such as sweatshop conditions, child labor, unlivable wages, and 70-plus hour work weeks. Unions are very vital in the workplaces, because as long as companies are doing business and as long as there's employees to work for those companies, there's certain employees that will get taken advantage of and treated poorly. And unions go in and fight against unfair work practices and treatment. They empower the employee voices in the workplace matters. They aid in allowing employees to work in safe conditions, and they also try to fight to give them better benefits and standards of living. This concludes my presentation on unions and collective bargaining. Thank you.